Hey everyone, it's Greg again. It's your daily schmooze, and it is Thursday morning, and you hear the song in the background. I will survive, and I will survive the renovations which are taking place in the kitchen right now. It's day three, and things are looking pretty good. There's still wires everywhere and stuff, but it won't be long until the kitchen is back in shape. Right now, we're having our meals in the spare room, and it's like a little buffet back there. You just go in. There's my pills. There's my other stuff that I need to survive every day. Cookies and there's a So anyway, it is what it is, and I'm just trying to stay out of the way. I asked them whether I need to wear a hard hat and goggles. They just laughed. Because I'm nowhere near the action, you know. So I'm trying to stay away and try to get out of the way as best as I can. So I will survive, as the song says. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. Oh, there's one thing I got to clear up. Yesterday, we talked about this really cheeseburger that they're offering in Thailand, McDonald's. And I said 12 pieces of cheese on the burger, in the burger. No, that was wrong. It's 20 pieces of cheese, 20 freaking pieces of cheese in the burger, on the burger. And in fact, it is so disgusting. It looks like one big blob of cheese with in between two buns. You can't see a burger. Uh, you can't see a lettuce. You can't see a pickle. You can't see anything. It's just cheese. So I had to clear that up because I knew that was very important. 8 extra pieces of cheese in the damn burger. Um, you know, oh, I was going to say, you know how sometimes life seems to be passing you by, and that's what's happening to me lately because it's like you're watching with your own eyes a generation go by, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to go with the flow and the change with the times, I guess, right? There's a perfect example. I was watching Jeopardy last night, and they had a question on there about Taxi. Do you remember the old show Taxi from the 70s? It was a great show. It had so many uh, great stars, you know, Danny DeVito, Jeff Conway, Mary Lou Henner, just off the top of my head, Tony Danza, Andy Kaufman, Christopher Lloyd, who went on in the Back to the Future movies. All these great people in this great cast in this comedy show. Taxi. Everybody's heard of Taxi, right? If you haven't seen it, uh, you've heard of it, right? Well, anyway, on Jeopardy last night, they had this question, and it was about something about Louis De Palma, who that was the name of the character that Danny DeVito played on the show. And the three contestants on Jeopardy, they look like they were probably in their 30s, maybe. They weren't kids. They weren't like 21-year olds or something. They were older, not as old as me. No one, there's not too many people that are. But, they were the 30s. First of all, they not only didn't they know the answer to the question or the question to the answer, whatever. I always get that confused on Jeopardy. But they're all like standing there like they had no clue what the show Taxi was all about. They're all shaking their heads, no, no. They never heard of Taxi. And that's when it struck me. I'm like, I feel like a relic. I feel like one of these things that the archaeologists, the scientists dig up out of the ground, like a dinosaur, like really old. Like there's this whole generation that's passing by, just by. just wave to it and let it go, right? So, when you've got people living in this world right now who have never heard of the shared taxi, you know, number one, you know that you're old, and number two, you know that things are changing. Just go with the flow, right? Speaking of which, yesterday was 34 years to the day since the release of that great movie When Harry Met Sally. 34 years. First of all, I can't believe it's 34 years already, I kind of remember when that movie came out. I wasn't really a big fan then, but since then, I'm a big fan. And I'll tell you why. Um, First of all, Rob Reiner was the director, and of course, he was the beloved meathead in All in the Family. Uh, and it wasn't his first movie. He had done The Princess Bride before that, and This is Spinal Tap, and Stand By Me. Really great movies he's directed. But he did When Harry Met Sally, like around 1989, and a great script by Nora Ephron, and who went on to write Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. But mostly the cast, Billy Crystal is the male lead, and the cute Meg Ryan was Sally, and some of the other cast, Bruno Kirby, and played one of the friends, and Carrie, draw the blank. See what happens when you get old? Carrie, who played Princess Leia in Star Wars, you know who it is, Carrie. She was in the movie too. So anyway, it's a great movie. I thought it was a great movie. I watch it maybe once a year now, and I still get a kick out of it. It's funny and it's romantic, and it's got a lot of heart, and it got a 91% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Back in the late 80s, Rotten Tomatoes wasn't around, but since then, they've reviewed a lot of old films too, and it ended up getting a 91%, which is pretty good for Rotten Tomatoes. And it's made all kinds of best of lists. Best comedy, top 10, romantic comedy. It's made all these lists. And so I think the thing about When Harry Met Sally is the chemistry between the leads. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan really have that certain chemistry about them, and it's all about best friends. If you've never seen the movie, it's about this couple that meet in college, and they're driving from college, Chicago, to New York, and they're driving together. They don't know each other. They're just Meg Ryan is giving Billy Crystal a ride to get to New York, where they both have jobs, and they decide to become friends. And it's sort of an on and off thing. They see each other, and then they go years, and then they see each other again, and they go years, and they see each other again. And eventually, by the end of the movie, they fall in love. Well, have you ever had people come in and out of your life like that? I have. I remember there's a friend of mine I grew up with. I went to school with when I was a kid. We were all in a taxi cab. Used to take us to this special school for kids with disabilities, about 15 miles away. Anyway, we got to be friends with this one kid named Timmy, and we were friends in grade school, and then we lost touch. When high school started, We both went to different high schools. But then later in life, it was really surprising because when I became a social worker, his mom unfortunately ended up in the nursing home where I worked. So I was actually his Timmy's mom's social worker. So I would see Tim from time to time when he would come and visit. Um, and then we lost touch after his mom passed away. And then a few years later, I was on the paratransit van going to work, and this driver says to me, uh, well, you're really funny and blah, blah, blah. And you remind me of this other guy that I pick up all the time who has a disability. And the more he described this guy, the more I thought, oh, you know what? That sounds like my friend Tim. And I found out it was Tim. And he had moved after his parents died and got an apartment not too far away from me. So I got to meet him again. And then we went a couple more years without keeping in touch. You know how it is. You get the phone number, you say, oh, I'm going to call you sometimes, and you never do, right? I mean, life happens, things happen, and you're busy, you just don't get the time. Well, then finally, a couple years ago, I'm in the doctor's office. I think it's an ENT specialist. I don't know. I had some sort of sinus infection or something. Who knows? And there in the office walks this guy and sits down, and he's going through his insurance cards. Yeah. And I go over, it's Tim. And I said, hey, Tim, I introduced him to Holly, who was with me, and we went a couple more years without seeing each other. Just a couple months ago, I get this phone call because I was on TV. That one of the local news stations did this segment about my book, An Unbreakable Spirit, which was very nice. Um, guess who saw it? Tim saw it. He got my number and he called me out in the clear blue sky. And it was great to hear from him again. And so this time we said, well, once the kitchen renovations are done, we're going to get together for a cookout before the summer's over, and we're going to talk about old times. But that's a perfect example of somebody who just comes in and out of your life, just like Harry and Sally. Harry and Sally, they was more friends, romance. Tim was my friend. And so that's a perfect example of somebody. So it really does happen. It really does happen that way. Um, so when Harry met Sally, it never won any major awards or anything. I think it was nominated for a lot of awards, including for Best Script by Nora Ephron, an Academy Award, but it didn't win. Um, I think what we remember about that movie most of all is the famous scene in the deli where Meg Ryan is talking to Billy Crystal about men and women, And it's a great film, not only about friendship, love, sex, but it's about men and women. And it's 40 years later, whatever, 34 years, and it's still relevant. So they're talking in the deli, they're eating. I don't know what they're eating. Who knows? Maybe he's got a pastrami sandwich. I don't know. But they're eating, and she starts doing this fake orgasm thing, and she's screaming and yelling, and the people around them are looking, and all of a sudden, this lady off to the side says, the waiter comes over and she says, I'll have what she's having. Well, that's the big line. That's the big memorable line of the movie. In fact, that line, I'll have what she's having, it made like the all-time number 33 on the top 100 all-time movie lines or whatever. So anyway, but they actually had to film that scene about 30 times before they got it right. And so Meg Ryan was doing this fake orgasm thing all day long, which is okay with me. But you know, and the lady who makes the thing, I'll have what she's having, was actually Rob Reiner's mother. And I don't know if you guys remember Carl Reiner, the famous comedian, who great writer, and he worked on the Dick Van Dyke Show and all those old shows back in the 60s. That's Rob Reiner's dad, and was married to this lady. In fact, when she died in 2008, in her obituary, they wrote that she was the lady, she uttered one of the most famous lines in movie history: I'll have what she's having. Anyway, so that was like the big C. And you could still go up to that diner, although I think I heard that it might be closing. It's called Cat's Diner, Katz, Cat's Deli. And it's in Manhattan. And at the very table where Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan had their thing and ate, you could actually sit there. And there's a plaque above the table with an arrow pointing down saying, this is where Harry Met Sally was filmed. And I hope you have what she's having. So there you go. Anyway, it's a great movie. Whether you like rom-coms or not, you know, I think everybody has seen When Harry Met Sally at least one time in their life. And if you haven't, you should see it. You know, there's some of the dialogue is a little, you don't think people would really say that kind of thing, kind of cutesy. Uh, and Billy Crystal as a leading man, well, you know, he was good. He was good though. But I think of Billy Crystal more of being a comic comedian, you know, like when he was on Saturday Night Live. You look marvelous, played the Fernando Lamas, Ricardo Montalban guy. Anyway, it's a great movie. So if you have a chance, check it out for its 34th anniversary. Well, anyway, I think that's about it for today on the Daily Schmooze. Tomorrow, tomorrow I already have a topic for tomorrow. We'll see what happens in the meantime. Favorite summer songs. They actually had on the news. They had this licensed psychologist. Now get this. They hired a licensed psychologist to come on and talk about what kind of music matches summer each season. And she said, well, because the people are out and about and they're going to the beach and the amusement parks, and they're bright and they're happy and they're not cooped up inside anymore. The songs tend to be upbeat, happy songs. Well, duh. I mean, it doesn't take a licensed psychologist or a rocket scientist to tell me that, you know? But anyway, tomorrow, one of the segments, we're going to talk a little bit about your favorite summer songs. And so if you have the chance in between until tomorrow, think about it. What summer songs did you love when you were growing up, or still love now? You know, so anyway, you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. And if you get a chance, hit that little subscribe button there or whatever it is, click it. And then I don't know what it does. I don't know. They just tell me that's a good thing. Subscribe, like, whatever. So whatever is the good thing, do it, hit it. And that way you'll get more of this great entertainment every morning. Sit down and have your coffee and enjoy it with me. It beats a lot of other stuff, I'll tell you that. Just All right, then. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning into the Daily Schmooze, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.